Hello, this is the second part of the movie making video that we have been sharing. In the first part, we started off with a movie which we called Friday the First. It's a war horror movie. We showed the initial steps in making, in selecting the script, selecting the director, actors, selecting which genre we wanted to make the movie for, and we also did pre-production. In this video, we will continue with the next step, which is production. Now, for the movie which is war and horror, we have to select how much money and time we want to spend on the different aspects of production. As you can see, the different aspects of production here are costume, makeup, cinematography, and special effects. Now, for a war horror movie, costume has to be authentic. At least for a war movie, horror movie also would need specialized costume. So we would ideally spend as much money as we can on costume. So let's try to push it as far as possible without spending a lot of money. As you can see, the more money we spend, also the time for production increases. So we don't want to push it very high. Also, makeup is pretty important for both war and horror. So we would try to probably spend some fair amount of money on that also. Cinematography will probably be important for war movies, not as much for horror movies, which need a fair bit of uh, for which costume, makeup, and special effects are more important. But still, we'll spend some money uh, so that we don't really miss out on the cinematography part for the war sequences in the movie. Special effects is pretty important for both the genres, so we'll spend as much money as we can. As you can see, with this much money, the budget uh, for production budget has is now $330,000, but it's going to take 60 weeks, so that's a fair amount of time. And all this time, we're also losing money on the upkeep of the sets, so that is something also which is pretty important to keep in mind when we are choosing how much money we want to spend in the production stage. So 60 weeks might be a little too long for production at this stage. So I'll reduce a little bit on of makeup and probably jump move it up in special effects. 60 weeks is still long, but I think this would lead us to making a really good movie. There is always a chance of overspending when we are selecting how much money we want to spend in these aspects. So, for specific genres, if uh, special effects is not very important, let's say for example, and we spend a lot of money, then the extra time and the extra money is almost wasted because it's not really that important. So, how we score it in the back end is for specific genres, each of these bars, so costume, makeup, cinematography, and special effects, they have an ideal band in which you should spend money in. So so the player has so you as a player have to identify which is the ideal band. So the band might be very high or very low for different aspects of it. So we will probably keep it at this point where we spend 60 weeks in production, which I think is still high. We'll lose a lot of money, but I feel confident enough in the game to uh, in our ability to choose these aspects to make sure that we will ideally make money going forward. The next step will be once we put it into production. This will go into production, and then after 60 weeks, will come. It will come back into post production. In the meanwhile, in the game, we can do other things like uh, put up buildings, make roads, research some new buildings, get our writers to write some new scripts and other things. Um, yeah. So we'll put it into continue and pick this up once the movie is ready for post production. So now the movie Friday the First, the war horror movie that we were making, now it's entered into post production. In post production, we have to decide how much money and times to spend in different aspects like editing, music, visual effects, and sound effects. Editing is important for which genres like drama, a little bit like also for genres like comedy, which get a lot of impact from how the editor has cut the movie. For war horror, editing might not be very important, so we'll keep it a little low. Music, again, is not really that important. Sound effects will be more important, so we'll spend more money on sound effects. Visual effects will be very important for post production of Friday the First, which is a war horror movie. So we'll try to spend the most money for visual effects. Now this is $330,000 for post production, 45 weeks, which is a good fair amount of time. Once the movie comes back from post production, we will decide how to market it, uh, and in the next and we'll show how the marketing goes going forward. We'll continue now. So we continue with marketing the movie Friday the First, which is a war horror movie. I think there is a bug here and it shows action thriller, but it's actually a war horror movie. So in marketing, this is the first part of marketing where we decide where to spend money in terms of uh, I mean, how much money to spend on the posters for the teaser trailer and for the theatrical trailer and for the launch trailer. Now, as you might recall, at the start of the making the movie process, we selected the target audience in terms of the rating and the gender. So that plays a big role in deciding where we want to spend the money. Our movie Friday the First has a is targeting a male audience and uh, targeting a R rating. So adult male is what we are targeting. Now, this might not be very clear at this point, but as you play the game, you start realizing which part plays a role in terms of uh, which target audience. Now, just for now, we will spend a little bit of money on launch trailer because that's pretty important. Theatrical trailer will not spend a lot of money because it's a very niche movie, so people are not really sitting on in theaters looking for a movie like that. But we'll spend a bit of money on theatrical trailer. Teaser trailer will spend some amount of money. Horror movies generally can have a impact with a teaser campaign, and posters are important for our target audience, so we'll spend a fair bit of money on poster. So this is first part of marketing. Second part will be where we market the movie. This is more about the marketing materials that we choose. The second part will be which mediums we use for marketing. So in next step we will show that. So this is the second part where we decide where we want to spend most of our money: network TV, cable TV, print, radio, outdoor, or internet. Now, a point to be noted here: the game we started in 1970s. There was no internet, so this is a small bug. Will remove this. In 1970s, the internet will essentially come into the game in 1995. So for now, we'll not spend any money on internet. Outdoor, will spend some amount of money. For a niche movie, male target audience, made adult, cable TV might be a good place to spend money in. But as you can see, cable advertising can be very expensive, so we'll have to be careful. Network TV will spend some amount of money. Even again, network TV is also very expensive. Print is not very expensive, but print will not give a lot of RO, return on investment for our movies. So we'll not spend a lot on print. Even radio will not be very effective for a male adult audience. Outdoor is also not very impactful. Now looking at it, I think we'll probably spend a little more on cable because I think that's the best way to reach our target audience, and probably a little more on network TV. So the pre-production budget is now 1.2 million. So 2.9 million is total amount of money we are spending on this movie for now. Uh, in the next step, we get to release the movie and get ratings in terms of how the critics are rating our movie. So our movie Friday the First is now ready for release. Our secretary comes and tells us that we spent almost 38 months uh, making the movie, spent a total of 2.9 million making this movie. So now we can go ahead and release it. We continue and release. Uh, so yeah, the movie is complete. It's a war horror movie, so we get a poster with a helmet, World War One helmet. Director Bob Alterman will release the movie. So this is our first movie. Uh, so we will are waiting to see what the response from the audience will be, what reviews we will get. The reviews are in for our movie. So these are the reviews we are getting. Yeah, so we got a 7 from Variety. The soundtrack was good in this movie, so people liked this. Location, probably we could have spent a little more money. Holly Reporter is not really fan of ours. Uh, the location scouting that we did. Sound effects could have been better. I guess could have spent a little more money. And wardrobe was good. LA Times liked it, but we got a 6. So overall, we got a movie was which had a rating of 6, which is not great, but we should be able to live with that. We should be able to make some amount of money back from this movie. So this was the complete flow of how a movie is made in Movie Studio Tycoon. Once we continue, we will then go into how much money the movie will make in theaters, in in home videos once we release it into home videos, and then we can get a TV deal to make a little more money from the movie too. But this was the process of actually making a movie and getting rated for it. So, thank you for watching up till here. We hope you had a good idea of how movies are made and released in Movie Studio Tycoon.